A covalent bond results when two atoms share electrons. In the case of two hydrogen atoms, each shares its single electron with the other. This sharing allows each to fill its electron shell with two electrons. The pair of shared electrons constitutes a covalent single bond. Let's now consider oxygen, an atom with 8 electrons. 2 electrons fill the innermost shell, and the other 6 electrons reside in the next shell. This outer shell needs 2 more electrons to complete it, the octet rule. 2 oxygen atoms form a covalent double bond by sharing 2 electron pairs from their outer shells. Carbon is perhaps the most versatile element on Earth, in large part because it contains only 4 electrons in a shell that can hold 8. To fill its outer shell, carbon forms 4 covalent bonds with up to 4 other atoms. In a molecule of methane, carbon shares electrons with hydrogen atoms, forming 4 covalent single bonds. Although this molecule is relatively simple, carbon often forms the backbone of large, complex molecules. With each carbon atom able to bond to 4 other atoms, carbon-based molecules are incredibly diverse. The ability of an atom to attract electrons, its electronegativity, might be so strong that the atom does not share electrons with other atoms, but instead strips electrons away from other atoms. Chlorine has a high electronegativity, whereas sodium has a very low electronegativity. Because sodium has a low electronegativity, it holds its outer electron very loosely and easily loses it to chlorine. When this happens, chlorine fills its outer shell with 8 electrons, becoming negatively charged. Sodium loses its electron and becomes positively charged. Atoms that have lost or acquired electrons are called ions. Positive ions, cations, and negative ions, anions, form ionic bonds by an electrical attraction. In solid form, the ionic bonds between sodium and chloride ions are very strong because the ions are so close together. These ions make up table salt. Ionic bonds can be broken down in water. The partial charges on water molecules are attracted to the full ionic charges on the ions. When the solid dissolves, it breaks down into separate ions, each surrounded by a sphere of water molecules.